Everything you know about manifestation is backwards. You've been taught to chase your future, to reach for your dreams, to move toward what you want. But what if I told you the future isn't ahead of you at all? What if your desired reality is actually behind you, beneath you, vibrating as a frequency that's been waiting for you to turn around and face it? Most people are manifesting forward while the universe is responding backward. And that mismatch is exactly why nothing seems to move, no matter how hard you try. The quantum field doesn't operate in straight lines, and your future self isn't waiting at the end of some distant timeline. It's already here, already active, already real, just vibrating at a frequency your nervous system hasn't learned to recognize yet. What you're about to discover will flip everything you thought you knew about manifestation, and once you see how the mechanism actually works, you'll never waste another moment chasing what's already trying to reach you.
Quantum manifestation works backwards, and nobody realizes it. Most people assume manifestation is this journey towards something waiting in front of them, as if life were just a straight road, leading from where they are right now to what they desire somewhere down that road. They imagine their future sitting somewhere ahead, distant and inactive, just waiting there, hoping that with enough intention or visualization or sheer effort, they can eventually reach it and claim it. But the quantum field doesn't operate in straight lines like that, and the universe isn't waiting for you patiently at the end of some timeline stretching into the distance. Your future isn't ahead of you. It's behind you, beneath you, inside you right now. It's a frequency that's already active, already vibrating, just waiting for alignment, not pursuit, not chasing, alignment. This is exactly why so many people feel like they're walking steadily toward their dreams, while simultaneously being pulled backward by something they can't quite see or name. They're manifesting forward with all their mental energy, while the universe is responding backward to something completely different. And that mismatch, that fundamental misalignment, creates struggle, delay, and deep confusion. Imagine for a moment standing in front of a mirror, trying desperately to change your reflection by manipulating the image on the glass itself. No matter how intensely you concentrate on that mirror, no matter how much you visualize the reflection changing, nothing actually shifts. The reflection only changes when you shift the source, not the projection you're staring at. Manifestation works exactly the same way. The reality you experience every single day is not formed by the direction you're looking or the goals you're setting. It's formed by the direction your internal state is broadcasting constantly. If your emotions, your beliefs, your nervous system are all anchored firmly in the past, in what you've already lived and survived, then your future is simply a replay of what your body already knows intimately. This creates the perfect illusion that life is moving forward, when in truth, life is just looping back endlessly. The reflection keeps showing you yesterday, even when your conscious mind is completely fixated on tomorrow. Quantum physics has been hinting at this truth for decades now. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behave completely differently depending on whether they're being observed or not, suggesting strongly that the act of observation itself, not the future arrangement of matter, is what actually organizes the outcome. The collapse of possibility into reality doesn't start from the end result and move backward through time. It begins with the observer's internal state right now and extends outward into physical form. In other words, the effect is chosen before the cause even happens. The result exists in potential before the action is taken. This means manifestation does not follow the linear path you've been taught to believe in. The future is not something you walk toward step by step. The future is something that responds directly to who you are being right now, in this exact moment. Think about how often you hear people say things like, "I'm trying to get there. I'm moving toward my goals. I'm aligning with my future." These phrases, these common ways of speaking, hold an embedded assumption that the life you desire is somewhere outside yourself, somewhere ahead of you, on some timeline you haven't reached yet. But if the quantum field contains every version of you simultaneously, all existing right now in different vibrational states, then the future self you want to become isn't waiting on some distant horizon. It's vibrating as a frequency that your body may or may not be able to tune into clearly. Manifestation doesn't happen when you finally reach the future. It happens when the future recognizes you. And recognition only occurs when your internal state emits a frequency that matches the timeline you claim to want. Here's the paradox that flips everything upside down. The future doesn't form as a result of your actions. Your actions are actually the echo of the future you've already chosen energetically, vibrationally, before you even moved. This is why some people take tiny steps and see massive results, while others take massive steps and see absolutely nothing change. The universe doesn't reward effort or hustle or grinding. It mirrors coherence. And coherence is not built in the future you're trying to reach. It's built right here, in the present moment, in the internal landscape the universe reads before it arranges your external reality. You don't move toward your desires. Your desires move toward the version of you whose signal matches them perfectly. This is where spirituality and science converge beautifully. Neville Goddard taught that your assumption creates your reality, not your striving or effort. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your body must become the emotional version of the future before the future can materialize in physical form. Quantum physics states clearly that the observer collapses probability, not the intention alone. These teachings, from completely different perspectives, all point to the exact same truth. Manifestation works backward. The inner state collapses the timeline you will experience. You don't create the future from movement, you create it from embodiment. Try to imagine the universe as this vast field of frequencies surrounding you, each one representing a completely different timeline, a different version of your life. You don't walk into a timeline through physical steps, you tune into it energetically. And once the tuning is precise enough, once the frequency matches, the timeline becomes your lived experience automatically. Most people tune into their past without even realizing it. Their thoughts say clearly, "I'm ready for change, I want something different." But their nervous system says something completely opposite. "I only understand what I already survived. I only trust what I already know." Their hopes pull them forward, but their emotions pull them backward. And the field listens to the louder signal, the more coherent vibration, the state that feels like home to the body, even if that home is built entirely from old pain and limitation. This is exactly what creates the experience of moving in reverse without understanding why nothing seems to shift or improve. The most disorienting part is that your mind genuinely believes it's moving forward because intention feels like progress. Setting goals feels productive. Visualizing feels powerful. But the universe does not respond to intention alone. It responds to identity. And identity is encoded in emotion, not thought. When your emotional baseline remains tied to your history, to everything you've already experienced, you are manifesting from the past even when you are actively dreaming about the future. That internal backward-facing signal is so strong, so practiced, so familiar, that it can completely override your desires and replace them with repetition disguised as fate. But something powerful begins to open when you truly realize this truth. You stop trying desperately to chase outcomes and start examining the internal state that keeps projecting the same reality over and over. You stop asking, "How do I get there?" and start asking, "Who am I broadcasting right now? What signal is my body sending?" You stop thinking of manifestation as a destination somewhere out there and begin to see it as a mirror, showing you exactly what signal you've been transmitting without even realizing it. And once you see the mirror clearly, once you really see it, you stop arguing with the reflection and start shaping the source. This is where everything begins to change, not by pushing forward harder, but by turning inward with awareness. The moment you understand that the universe is responding to the emotional remnants of your past, not the intellectual desires of your mind, you gain access to a level of transformation that most people never reach in their entire lives. You stop manifesting forward and start manifesting from within. And when the internal state shifts genuinely, the timeline rearranges, not gradually over months, instantly. In the comments right now, drop one word that captures the energy you're choosing to carry forward. Maybe it's alignment. Maybe it's ease. Maybe it's power. Maybe it's something uniquely yours. Let that word be a small but profound declaration, a signal like a quantum seed you plant not just in this space, but in the quantum field itself. Most people think they're sending clear signals to the universe based on what they consciously want. They picture the life they desire, they write it down carefully, they visualize it during meditation, they affirm it repeatedly, and they assume the field is receiving those intentions as direct instructions. But the quantum field doesn't listen to desire. It listens to familiarity. It listens to whatever emotional frequency your body has practiced the longest, the one that's been repeated most consistently. And that frequency is almost always tied to the past, not the future. This means the universe isn't responding to your dreams or your vision boards. It's responding to your emotional history, to the patterns your nervous system knows best. Your manifestations are not moving toward what you consciously want. They're moving toward what your nervous system believes is normal, what feels safe to your body. Your mind might be reaching forward with hope and intention, but your body is broadcasting backward with memory and conditioning. And the field mirrors whatever signal has the strongest charge, the most emotional intensity. Think about this carefully for a moment. The emotional imprint of your past has more influence over your timeline than all your positive thoughts combined. Not because the universe is cruel or playing games, not because you're blocked or broken, but because your biology prioritizes safety over possibility every single time. The nervous system's primary job isn't to make you happy or fulfilled. It's to keep you alive. And alive, to your nervous system, often means recreating what is familiar, even if that familiar state is filled with scarcity, fear, tension, or self-doubt. So the old emotional patterns become the default setting of your signal, the baseline frequency you broadcast. While you think you're manifesting forward toward your dreams, you're actually manifesting backward from memory, from identity, from emotional residue you haven't cleared yet. Look at your own life for a moment with honest eyes. Notice how certain patterns keep repeating themselves. The same kinds of relationships showing up. The same types of financial challenges appearing. The same emotional loops playing. The same internal battles fighting. These patterns aren't coincidences or bad luck. They're vibrational echoes of unresolved emotional memory broadcasting constantly. The quantum field is completely neutral. It has no preference whatsoever for success or failure, abundance or scarcity, joy or suffering. It simply mirrors the signal it receives most clearly. And if the strongest part of your signal is built from the past, the future becomes a replica of what you've already lived. This is why people can have massive dreams, beautiful visions, yet see small, repetitive results year after year. Their intentions point in one direction clearly, but their frequency points in another direction entirely. Think about how many times you've said you wanted change, you needed something different, but part of you, some deep part, felt the familiar pull of who you used to be, who you've always been. Notice how the body tenses when you try to embody abundance, as if it's preparing for disappointment before anything even happens. Notice how your breath shortens when you imagine a life that feels too big, too free, too different from what your past taught you was possible or safe. That tension is the signal your body is sending. That resistance is the broadcast going out. And the quantum field responds to that contraction, that fear, long before it responds to your goals or affirmations. Not because your desires are wrong or unrealistic, but because your emotional foundation hasn't shifted yet. You're trying to manifest a new timeline with an old frequency. And the universe can only tune into the channel your body is currently playing, the one that's clearest and strongest. When you deeply understand this, when it really lands in your awareness, something clicks inside you. You stop blaming yourself for not manifesting fast enough or well enough. You stop thinking you're doing something wrong or missing some secret technique. You realize that nothing was ever broken in you. The mechanism was simply misunderstood. Manifestation doesn't begin with desire or intention. It begins with internal coherence. And coherence doesn't come from the future you want desperately. It comes from the emotional state you're willing to release, the one that no longer matches who you're becoming. Once you stop broadcasting the past automatically, the future finally has space to take shape. There's a reason this feels revolutionary when you hear it. Nobody teaches that manifestation starts by turning your attention away from what you want and toward the emotional signatures that oppose it, that block it. The mind insists on looking forward at goals, but the body insists on replaying backward through memory. This is the conflict that keeps people stuck for years, sometimes decades. You can visualize wealth all day while embodying lack, and the field will choose lack every time. You can intend love while resonating with abandonment, and the field will mirror abandonment back to you. You can affirm confidence while vibrating with insecurity, and life will reflect insecurity in everything you experience. The universe isn't ignoring you or punishing you. It's answering the clearest signal available. And clarity almost always comes from the emotional past, because that's what's been practiced longest. The shift begins the exact moment you realize that the past doesn't need to be healed completely for the future to change. It simply needs to lose its dominance as your default vibration, as the loudest voice in your field. That happens when you become more loyal to who you are becoming than who you have been. When the emotional weight of the future self becomes stronger than the emotional memory of the old self. When your nervous system learns that safety doesn't come from repetition anymore, but from alignment with something new. This is the moment when the signal flips direction entirely. Instead of replaying yesterday on loop, you begin broadcasting a frequency that the field has never received from you before. And reality adjusts quickly, sometimes shockingly fast, because the field is designed to respond to novelty, to newness, the same way your brain lights up with creation, not repetition. If this is landing for you, if something inside recognizes this truth, subscribe right now and hit the bell icon next to it. Also, join our Manifestation Club on gogetter.au. Get inspired by reading manifestation stories and share your story to inspire others. This isn't just a channel, this is a frequency. If you felt a shift while watching, you're already tuned in. Let's keep growing and shifting together. Before we go deeper, ground this shift in your consciousness. Declare it into the field with intention and clarity, because a spoken choice stabilizes the inner frequency. Type in the comments, "My future leads, not my past." This simple statement anchors your signal forward, not backward. It marks the moment you stop broadcasting from memory and begin broadcasting from possibility. Once you understand how this reverse mechanism has been shaping your entire life, the path forward becomes completely clear. You're not here to chase a future timeline desperately. You're here to become the observer that the future timeline recognizes instantly. And when that happens, when recognition occurs, manifestation stops moving in reverse. It begins flowing toward you, like a river, meeting the ocean it always belonged to. When someone finally sees clearly that their reality keeps looping because their emotional body is facing backward in time, a new possibility opens. One that doesn't rely on effort, willpower, or hours of visualization. The shift begins the exact moment you realize that your desired future isn't waiting for you to move closer to it through action. It's waiting for you to turn toward it internally, not as a metaphor or nice idea, but as a biological and energetic reorientation. The nervous system organizes itself around whatever feels most real to it. For years, maybe your entire life, the past has held that position. But the moment the future gains more emotional weight than the memory behind you, the entire direction of your timeline reverses. To understand this, imagine for a moment that time isn't a line at all, but a field, a three-dimensional landscape where every potential version of you already exists as a frequency, not a destination. The you who is confident, abundant, peaceful, fulfilled already, vibrates as a coherent pattern within the field right now. That version of you isn't in the future waiting to be created. It's in a different state, waiting to be embodied. The question is not, how do I get there someday? The real question is, which state am I embodying right now? Because embodiment is what determines direction. Your internal state is a compass, and it points either toward memory or toward possibility, every single moment. Neuroscience offers a clear explanation for this. The brain predicts reality based on past patterns, because prediction feels safer than uncertainty to the nervous system. This means your body treats the past as the most reliable reference point automatically. If you don't intervene consciously, the nervous system will continue projecting old emotions into your present moment, shaping your next reality from the wrong temporal direction. The key is to introduce a new reference point, powerful enough to override the automatic pull of history. And that reference point is the emotional signature of your future self. This is where the feeling of the wish fulfilled becomes far more profound than classic teachings suggest. It's not about pretending you already have what you want, or faking it till you make it. It's about giving your nervous system a new emotional anchor, so the body stops clinging to outdated versions of you. When the emotion of the future becomes familiar, truly familiar to your body, the body starts treating it as the new baseline, the new normal. That's when embodiment replaces memory. And once embodiment becomes stronger than memory, your timeline flips direction. You stop manifesting backward and begin radiating forward. Think of identity as a gravitational field surrounding you. Wherever your sense of self settles, your reality collapses around it naturally. The old identity carries the weight of past experience, and that weight pulls your awareness backward constantly. But the future identity carries the weight of coherence, expansion, clarity. When you embody that frequency, even for a few genuine seconds, the gravitational pull shifts. Your awareness begins orienting toward the version of you that already lives the life you desire. It's that shift in orientation, not effort or hustle, that causes manifestation to accelerate dramatically. Here's the nuance most teachings completely overlook. Embodiment isn't a technique you practice, it's a physiological event happening in your body. When you embody a future state, the brain reorganizes its predictive patterns. Neurons fire in new sequences, creating memories of experiences that haven't physically happened yet. The heart shifts into coherent rhythms. The vagus nerve signals safety rather than threat. The emotional chemistry of the body adjusts. In that moment, the internal landscape updates, and the field responds instantly to that update because the field mirrors internal states, not external efforts. But embodiment cannot be forced. When you try to fake an elevated state, the body contracts. The nervous system senses the mismatch between thought and feeling, creating internal friction. That friction reinforces the past even more strongly. True embodiment begins with creating enough inner space for the future emotion to land naturally. That might mean slowing your breath intentionally, relaxing your jaw, dropping your shoulders, letting the body soften just enough to stop gripping the familiar emotional patterns so tightly. Once the contraction loosens, there is room for a new emotional signature to take root. Here's where the reversal of time becomes tangible, something you can actually feel. The moment the body receives a signal that feels expansive, open, grounded, or aligned, the future identity activates, not mentally, energetically. The shift is subtle at first. A sense of ease where tension once lived. A calm certainty replacing anxious effort. An unexpected surge of clarity in a situation that felt complicated 5 minutes earlier. These are signs that the future self-frequency is beginning to pull you forward, not because you're thinking about it constantly, but because you're resonating with it naturally. Resonance is the mechanism that flips timelines. Imagine a river that has always flowed in one direction, carrying you along with memories, habits, and conditioned emotions. Embodiment is the moment when the current reverses. You stop swimming upstream desperately toward your dream life, and instead feel the flow moving beneath you, guiding you into alignment with little resistance. Things that once felt distant suddenly begin to feel inevitable. Situations that once felt heavy lose their weight. You're no longer pushing against your reality. Your reality is responding to you before you take a single physical step. This is why quantum manifestation appears magical to those who don't understand the mechanics. When the internal state becomes more loyal to the future than to the past, the field reorganizes without delay. Opportunities emerge not because you hunted them down, but because your new signal made them visible. Relationships shift because your frequency no longer matches the dynamics that once held you. Solutions appear because coherence sharpens your perception. Synchronicities accelerate because the new timeline is locking into place. The beautiful part is that you don't need to maintain this state all day long. A few genuine moments of alignment repeated consistently rewrite the internal compass. The nervous system slowly stops referencing the past and begins referencing the version of you that already embodies clarity, abundance, or love. And once that internal compass reorients, your reality has no choice but to follow. The observer changes, the signal changes, the timeline changes. When this clicks, when you really get it, the entire pursuit of manifestation becomes unnecessary. You're not chasing outcomes anymore. You're stepping into a stream that was flowing toward you the whole time. You just had to turn in the right direction. What's one thing you truly want to manifest, and why is it important to you? Drop it in the comments. I'm giving away 2 one-on-one free sessions to help you bring it to life. Be honest. Be you. There comes a point in this process when the shift stops feeling like something you are trying to achieve and begins feeling like something that is happening through you. Not forced, not scripted, not pushed into existence. It feels as if the future you've been reaching for suddenly steps forward and recognizes you. Your internal world becomes so aligned, so coherent, that external reality doesn't wait for you to act. It starts responding before you move. This is the unmistakable moment when the future stops being a vision and becomes a gravitational force. Instead of chasing outcomes, you feel yourself being pulled toward them by an identity that finally matches what you've been calling in. Everything changes when the body stops expecting the past and begins expecting the future. The nervous system, which once searched your environment for familiar threats, starts scanning for coherence instead. Your mind stops looping old narratives. Your emotions stabilize into a softer, more grounded register. The internal noise quiets. You begin sensing a subtle but steady momentum carrying you, not forward but inward, into a deeper alignment with who you truly are. This is not motivation. This is entrainment. Your field is syncing itself with a timeline that has always been waiting for your signal to become clear enough to lock onto it. You notice the shift first in small ways. Conversations feel different, as if you're speaking from a higher vantage point. Tasks that once drained you become unusually easy. Opportunities show up without the friction you used to expect. People mirror back a version of you that feels more authentic, more centered, more whole. You're no longer acting as the old character trying to reach a better life. You're embodying the version of yourself who already belongs to that life. And that identity, stable, grounded, coherent, sends a signal strong enough to reshape the world around you. Reality begins rearranging itself without requiring dramatic action from you. Your energy field starts filtering out situations that don't match your frequency. You no longer attract the same patterns because the internal architecture that held them in place has dissolved. When you shift your identity, you also shift the probabilities available to you. The field stops offering you timelines that match your past and begins aligning you with timelines that match your new emotional baseline. It's not destiny, and it's not luck. It's physics. A coherent signal generates a coherent environment, and when you hold that signal with consistency, the environment adapts. You can feel this shift physically. There's a calmness that wasn't there before, a sense of soft expansion in the chest, a clarity that arrives without force. You start moving from a deeper intelligence, not the mind, not the emotions, but something beneath both, a sense of inner knowing that guides your actions without hesitation. This is the point where the future identity stops being a concept in your imagination and becomes the operating system of your life. You don't have to remember to act like the person you want to become. The behavior emerges naturally because your internal frequency has already crossed the threshold where the future feels more real than the past. Once this happens, your environment responds with precision. Doors open that you never noticed before. People show up at the exact moment your energy aligns. Conversations, opportunities, and synchronicities unfold with an elegance that feels orchestrated. It's not that the universe suddenly decided to help you. It's that you finally became someone the universe can reflect accurately. When you radiate a clear identity, the field stops sending you mixed experiences. The life you desire begins moving toward you with the same clarity you bring to your internal state. What surprises many people at this stage is how effortless everything becomes. Not effortless in the sense of passivity or doing nothing, but effortless in the sense that actions arise from resonance rather than resistance. You're no longer grinding your way through life or negotiating with old limitations. You're responding to a timeline that is already unfolding. You feel guided, supported, synchronized with something larger than your personal effort. This is the natural outcome of embodying a frequency that no longer belongs to who you were. And here's the deeper truth. Once the future begins pulling you, the journey becomes less about achieving outcomes and more about stabilizing the identity that allows those outcomes to exist. The identity is the manifestation. Everything else is an echo. If you're feeling the pull right now, if something inside you is recognizing itself in these words, then you're already shifting. The signal is updating. The old frequency is dissolving. The new identity is forming. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family. You might be a blessing in disguise for them. For you, it may be just sharing, but for someone in need today, it may be a ray of hope, and their gratitude will increase the positive energy flowing back to you. And if you're ready to solidify this transformation, to understand the mechanics of coherence, embodiment, vibrational direction, identity repatterning, and timeline alignment at a level that becomes second nature, then you're ready for the next step of this journey. Everything you need to stabilize this new frequency is inside the Awaken Your Quantum Power ebook, along with its practical companion. Together, they guide you through the exact inner architecture that makes quantum manifestation effortless and automatic. You'll find the link waiting for you in the pinned comment. Follow that pull. Your future is already reaching for you. This is your moment to meet it.